The old wizard Telemon enters once again.
Let's see here. I'm gonna go over everybody's sheets before we begin.
Right, I'm gonna grab a Pepsi real quick. I'll be back.
Okay. Tell, you are currently at 0 XP. You have reached level 4. Nicely done. Make sure you look over your bonds and alignments. Since you have finished a bond, if you can think of one, in the the first minute or two of the session while we're doing this, you can definitely propose a new one. Otherwise, we could just keep on trucking with your current ones. Same for you.
I will be thinking one.
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of something.
definitely. Same for you, Regan. I don't know that you you trust anybody implicitly, so maybe that one won't necessarily work just yet. But you could always try to make up a new one. Make sure you get your alignment in. Looks like you're fairly high up on the XP, and you are especially loaded down with stuff. Like every time Regan takes a step, his pack over his shoulder clinks and jingles.
Yeah, I could definitely picture that at this point.
And you said
Yeah.
we had more spaces than we could ever use, Star.
Yeah, well. Oh well. I didn't expect people to be quite as hoardy.
See, Victor, this inventory system was made off the concept of take what you think and then add 50%.
Yeah. Let's see here. And Sylvie is especially close to leveling up. Wow, one point it looks like. Has Sylvie returned with her
I'm here.
drink? All right. Where we last left off.
We just killed Fendris.
Yes.
And looted his body.
What you assume to be Fendris the healer, also known as Fendris the Green, also known as several other things apparently. You ran into a dark hooded figure down in these catacombs or underground passages, well beneath the ruins of Fendris Keep, and after a tense battle. You managed to slay him and acquire some very strange items from him. And you actually, you were met in the hallway on your way to find him. So you've not actually come across what you believe is his lair. Of all three of you, none of you are feeling particularly great. But Sylviona, of course, is feeling especially terrible. She's weak. She's got headaches. She's got the sweats, muscle aches. It seems to be getting worse. In the last hour or so, since even in the last few minutes since your battle with the wizard, Sylviona even has a slightly hard time breathing. Not to the point where you're absolutely rasping, but like it's almost like you've been jogging for a while. Like it's just you're a little bit exhausted. Tell, you are not feeling great at all, but you were actually worse off before. And yeah, so you stand over the remains of this creature that was once Fendris. Only his robes remain, and a scattering of ash and dust. What do you do?
Well, for and I believe we should investigate his lair. Somewhere in here there is bound to be a source of great power.
We should hurry.
So you've noticed that Regan has scooped quite a bit of the remains of this wizard into a jar, and has sequestered what looks to be some sort of black, like cast iron spike into his pocket, and you've also entrusted him with keeping the multifaceted diamond relief that you found upon the body that had many different things depicted upon it. Name boxes?
I was adding the. I'm gonna add like a list to the bottom. I know you have like a little box in the bonds thing.
Oh, unmerge.
Oh, unmerge. Okay.
Yeah, you unmerge that. I'm just doing an example below, and then I would just copy, like the one that's not used from line 2, and paste it down in there.
Okay.
It's not terribly convenient.
Where is the unmerge button so I know what it is?
When you look up top, you see the paint button, like the bucket.
Okay.
You see the squares right next to it. There's right next to the squares, there seems to be like 2 doors coming together. You just press that, and it will merge everything you've highlighted. You press it again, it will unmerge. If you go to the arrow, you can more selectively merge or unmerge things.
Awesome. I can definitely work with that.
Yeah. So Regan, what are you doing? You've tentatively identified this thing upon the body as is what looks to be a barb from the Black Gate of Death. At least you think so. Like judging from the reaction you felt when you touched it, and just the power you feel in it, and what it looks like.
I'm going to definitely carefully wrap it up before I place it in my bag. And as soon as we've collected our items, I'm going to suggest we return to the tree and destroy it now that it's no longer under his protection.
Well, it seems Telemon is suggesting he wants to go find wherever it was that the wizard was staying. So, but you seem to be at something of an impasse here. Your group is split. What do you decide?
I will go to the where he was staying to see if there's any information on how to destroy the tree more effectively, I guess.
Yes. A sensible choice. So, you all three proceed down the passage where you presume he emerged.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it only takes you a couple minutes. It appears that the end of the passage was actually fairly close when you ran into all of this trouble. You emerge into an antechamber to what appears to be a series of rooms. There's a large kind of spiral staircase leading upwards, and you see kind of a faint light coming from above. In the room with you, there is a series of large tables. There are shelves and crates, bookshelves. It really reminds you in construction of the treasury room that you had previously entered. It's very similar. But this one is actually lit dimly. This is the first unnatural light you have seen. Upon several of these tables, there appear to be candles that have burned low. There is wax in many places where apparently many candles have been lit. And yeah, the room is dimly lit with these candles. What precisely are you looking for? There's several other details to the room, but you know, I could describe them for quite a while.
I am looking for a conflux of power.
You don't feel any unnatural magic here. It feels as it did in the hallway. Nothing is sparking your senses. You notice, of course, there's several desks. It looks like maybe he's used them all fairly recently. Like he has a desk for researching one thing or another. There's papers and books stacked upon many of them. There is a rather prominent area of one of the tables that has been cleared, and there is only like a single large book upon that area. Like it's been cleared off and has been kept a little bit neater. And there appears to be like an ink pot and a quill there.
I'd like to investigate the large book, and also, does he have any other things that look like magical books laying about?
Well, nothing looks magical to you.
I don't mean like
there are a
actually
hefty
contains
number
magic.
of
I mean like
there are a hefty number of tomes about, but without taking a while to peruse all of them, you have no idea what they contain. You can certainly go to this large book that's open upon the other side of the table and take a peek.
outside of the large book, I'll grab what looks like the two most interesting books to put into my bag of books.
What constitutes interesting?
Magical or very, very historical books.
Hmm.
And how
Yeah,
would
you
you
can-
tell that from a glance?
Titles, bindings, anything that looks.
You would have to invest several minutes into it. Well, you're wanting to go to this other book first.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
on your way
first.
there, you notice that the right side of the room, there were alcoves in the treasury room, very similar to this. These alcoves, however, have bars, and if you look within them, there appears to be at least one body inside of this room. Within one of these alcoves that is barred. It looks almost skeletal to you. It's cloaked in some sort of dark reddish or maybe brownish sort of hooded robe. Looks like there's some detritus in the cell with it, like leaves or bits of ivy, who knows. You can't make out a whole lot of it, but you notice it when you're walking by to the book.
Does it look like it's been there for a very, very long time?
More than months. There's probably years, probably many years. Not necessarily centuries.
And it's just in a cell, correct?
Yeah, you don't know that that a cloak or any sort of clothing would have survived that long.
Definitely going to keep that in mind for after I've gotten a good look at the book.
Yeah, so you go over to the book, and do you read Elvish?
I would not read Elvish, but I would ask Telemon if he does.
Yeah, you look at this, and in very recent writing, like this page that is currently open only has a few words on it. It looks like it's only been recently kind of written. It does look Elvish to you, just by judging from the flowing kind of languid script.
If I can read any Elvish, it would be an ancient dead language of the elves, but I can't read this recent language, so I will definitely ask Telemon to take a look at it.
I will have a look briefly, but I'm more interested in a description of how the tree was grown in the first place. Surely it would take an area of great power, and I believe it is our only hope at this point.
So, so you say that, but you go over to read the page.
Yes, I assume it's some type of tome in relation to the tree or some diary of Fenris's or something of that nature.
Yeah, you read the words. You know Elvish, but like perhaps you recognize this as Elvish, but it's like some sort of slightly older dialect you're not quite as familiar with, and the handwriting is just odd. So it takes you like a minute or two to really kind of understand what is being written here. And yeah, on this most recent page, it says, if I can find it. The item I have secured should go some distance to, and then there's some there's kind of it looks like maybe it was smudged slightly, and he tried to write back over it. It looks like maybe some distance to ensuring, possibly, ensuring my protection from Nizareth. I paid a hefty price for it, but he assures me that that this should keep it at bay. None of the others affected by Feldrassen have ever come back as powerful or as independent as he. To have set up so close to my own domain is worrisome, but thus far we have maintained cool relations.
The name that you said is. Do we know what that is? The Delthroxen, I believe it is.
Veldrassen. No. No, I'm gonna say this is probably something you have never heard of.
Okay.
I would assume that Veldrossen has something to do with this rampant, sappy disease. I'm more concerned about the name Nezareth.
Yeah.
Shall I spout lore?
Do you want to? I am going to say something here. If you ever intend to use a bag of books, I am from now on going to say you must declare this before you spout lore. You have to say, "Oh, I have a book about this." No more post roll +1s.
Is it acceptable if one character fails, the other character might have knowledge to pull out their own book and then declare that and try again? I'm just wondering if that would be acceptable.
Yes, but try not to get too spammy.
Oh yeah. I would only do it for something I might know about, but not things I wouldn't. In this case, I would not know. So.
Okay. Well,
Like, it's possible that if he gets like a partial success on this, and you hear what it sort of entails, maybe you think that might be something your character would know more of, and maybe like with a success, you could glean something.
okay. I'm going to spout lore with a book, but I'd love to say what the book's about, but I don't know enough about it to actually say what the book's about. So I guess that'll be post thing.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah,
just
you
a
just-
name.
Yeah, like maybe this name rings familiar to you, and you pull out a book that you think you heard this from. Give me a roll. 10. Yeah, that's enough. It's a good thing you had that +1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're looking in your bag of books, and at first you're kind of looking through like maybe you what is the one book you've already discovered that you have?
Book of Famous Mages.
Like I think maybe you're looking through that first, because like the name seems familiar to you, and you're kind of associating it with magic, and then um, you realize that this is actually not a name that you are intimately familiar with, but you realize the naming convention. It sounds very draconic. Do you have some sort of book of dragons?
Yeah, I could have the Draconomicon. Seems fine to me.
The Dragonomicon, okay.
I actually have the Draconomicon. The 3.5.
Yeah, so you would kind of be able to put together that that Nizareth is definitely a draconic name, but it's old. Like even amongst dragon names, this is kind of an outdated sort of naming style.
While he is reading that, I'm going to cast Cure Light Wounds and trying to snap my wounds back into place.
And I think perhaps the only reference you get in your Dragonomicon, like, is this like an index of just known dragons, or does it more like describe
It's
the
more of
species?
a book of dragons. It's about dragons, their habits, their tendencies. It probably has a short list of known dragons that are famous. Other than that, it would probably have a little.
Okay, yeah. You find like a one sentence entry many centuries ago, simply stating like perhaps it's actually like it's an entry kind of affirming how you kill a dragon, and it says that like the dragon Nizareth was slain by impaling its heart with a lance.
While
And
you're
that's
reading,
pretty much the only entry that there is. It's like it's basically kind of like a citing of a source.
I do not like this one bit, friends. This Nezareth that's mentioned, he was mentioned as a dead dragon. But we have seen many undead as this day, yes?
Regan will agree as he's snapping his arm back into place from the fight.
Yeah, you hear a sickening crunch.
Painfully snapping it back.
Do you peruse the rest of this book? Do you like flip it? Do you flip it to the front? Like, this is obviously the last page that has thus far been written.
I will. I'm looking in general for the first entry about the tree, if such a thing exists.
Well, I assume if you're going to do that, you're basically going to start with the front and see where it begins, at least.
Yeah, but if it's like, from his childhood or something, I don't know how far the book goes back.
No, it's clearly a journal, and it's clearly Fenris the Green's journal. And it seems to date back 5 centuries, almost, perhaps. It doesn't concern his childhood or anything. It seems to be a journal starting with his exile from the Lyrian forest. You're able to glean some information that he was very bitter. There was something involving his sister, which was why he was exiled, and he relocated here. And perusing the book is going to take some time, but it talks readily about the forest almost from the very beginning. So this looks like it's not a waste of your time. Do you sit down and go through this book?
I believe I will.
Okay, so Tell sits down at the table and is leafing, slowly through the book, in the light of the candle and his own orb. What is everybody else doing while he's doing this? I imagine it's probably going to be 20 or 30 minutes.
Treating myself with a poultice and herbs.
Yes. So, yeah, you managed to find, like, what seems to be, like a small bed up against the wall. Not necessarily frequently used. It's kind of currently made, and you can kind of hop up on that and treat yourself if you want. Regan, what are you doing?
How much does the poultice and herbs heal?
Let me look. I think it's 6, but I will double check. Poultice and herbs heals 7. It has 2 uses.
Alright, so I have no uses remaining and I'm back up to 22.
Regan?
I will take this opportunity to probably attempt to go speak with the body in the cell, and then I might do something following that.
Very interesting.
Can I look under the bed after I'm done treating myself?
You just look under the bed, like make sure there's no monsters there.
Curious, what do they use this for? It can't be storage.
I'm gonna basically go over to the cell, just lean down and do my whispering and direct it towards the skeleton that's in there. I'll ask him a few questions before I do anything else.
Okay, so you go to the cell. Do you go inside?
I'm gonna stay outside the cell specifically, if I can do it from there. If
Okay.
that's acceptable anyway.
Yeah. There was some noise. Yeah, and you cast Speak with Dead. Was that your 10?
Yes, it was.
Yep. So you cast it, and it seems to take a few moments, and then the skeleton, which is leaning against the wall, just kind of seated in the cell, turns to you within its hood, and you basically just see kind of the dark, formless gaze of its empty eye sockets.
First question I'll ask is, why were you imprisoned?
Fenris does not appreciate those who attempt to destroy Feldrassen.
What was the year of your death?
That means we have to establish the current year. Let's see here.
You could tell me just how long ago, but I didn't know if he would know that or not.
We're gonna say it is. The year is 677. That is the current date, or the current year. And he died in 632.
I will ask him if he wants to see this place destroyed.
The skeleton almost moves. Like you can, like this spell is only supposed to make skeletons or the dead converse with you, but you can feel that this thing is straining to move itself, and it says, "By all means, this place must be burned."
Awesome. So as soon as he, I guess my spell fades here.
Yeah, he says that, and he kind of falls limply like a marionette.
So you said I had the key access to open the gate?
Key access?
Or do I have like a key to access the door, I mean? I probably,
Where would you have gotten said key?
that's what I was wondering, because you asked if I wanted to go in before, so I wasn't sure if it was just like hanging there next to the door or not. If it's not, I want to attempt to find it.
We do have a black key.
Yeah, you do have a black key.
A magic black key.
I was trying to get at if you were trying to try the cell door.
Okay.
Yeah, you. I mean, like, do you look around for a key? It occurs to you you do have a key that is supposedly magical in your pocket.
Before I jump straight to the magic option and potentially have the key destroy itself or some other repercussion, I might take a cursory glance to see if there's any keys nearby specifically for the cell.
Where do you look?
Probably the wall, obviously. See if there's anything pinned on the walls, any shelves, anything that would be, I guess, a typical place to put a key for, like a prison cell. Possibly.
Yeah, so you're looking around. You see the red form of Tell hunched over this tome, reading it, flipping back and forth between pages. You know, you're looking on the desks, on the table. I think your eyes momentarily drawn when Sylvie hops off the bed and kind of jumps down and gets to her hands and knees and looks beneath the bed. You know, just like her movement catches your eyes, but as it does so, you see a peg above the bed, and there is a really worn, old rusted ring of keys, like just like 3 keys upon it, resting on the peg above the bed.
I will definitely collect that and try each of the keys in the cell lock.
Yeah, so under the bed, Sylvie, you find some kind of like, I'm not gonna say like a full crate, kind of like a kind of a very makeshift crate. You pull it out. It's got some items in it. It looks like clothing, like elvish clothing. Some gloves. Looks like, you know, some more written material. Also, you know, beneath the bed looks like the remains of parchments or scrolls, like maybe some sort of large map. But it all looks fairly eaten by time and rats. Yeah.
So the map-like thing is like illegible.
If you try to pull it out, like, you basically just discover that it was put underneath the bed some long time ago, and it has since been chewed by mice.
But there's no sections that are even remotely
No.
resembling. No. Okay.
No, like it's just basically gone.
Okay.
Like, you guess it was a map
Is the
just
book the
because
same
it's
way?
far too big to be a regular scroll. The books are just in Elvish. They're fairly small. You see the occasional picture if you're flipping through them.
So I carried the book I found underneath his bed over to Tell. Like, Tell, what does this say? Hold up the book.
It's in a very kind of old Elvish dialect. It seems to be like Tales of the Lyrian Forest.
It seems to contain tales from the Lyrian Forest, little one. I doubt little of it, I think, would help us now.
So Regan, you collect the keys and you go back to the cell and try them. You get the key on like the second try. It kind of clicks in there. The lock doesn't open immediately. Like, you have to put some force into it. Like, it's not been open for some time, but it eventually clinks open with a loud kind of, you know, metallic noise, and then you're able to kind of shove the door open with some rust that falls behind.
Okay, I'll take my dagger out and probably try to at least clean some of this crap off of the skeleton first before I attempt to do anything with it.
Yeah, it seems like his his legs have been overgrown with moss and ivy. But for the most part, and like his clothing, like his pants and his shirt are just totally destroyed. It looked like he had a belt, like with a dagger. The dagger is gone, but like the sheath on it looks like it could hold a knife, almost the same as yours.
Ironically, I was planning on handing him my knife if I managed to do this anyway.
Yeah. And the only thing really intact on there, aside from this like really old leather belt, is this old darkish reddish brown cloak. That seems to be mostly intact. Like the lower areas of it are fairly eaten away, but you know it's still there.
I'll leave him with his cloak and his bandolier or his whatever you would call it. I guess the sheath. And I'm going to, once I've cleaned him up, attempt to animate that on him. Not sure if this will work.
Yeah, you do notice, you know, when you're kind of cleaning him up, that on his chest, kind of as you're pulling his old ratted shirt off, there is actually a leather bandolier that attaches to his belt and it goes over his shoulder. You can't see what it's supposedly attached to since his back is against the wall.
Interesting.
You animate dead?
That I'm going to attempt to do, yes.
All right, let's get a cast out of you while I read animate dead.
So Sylvie just flips through the book and looks at the pictures.
Yeah, you see pictures of great bears and creatures of the forest and scenes of elves kind of, kneeling down and talking to small creatures, just like forest scenes. The occasional small like diagram of forests, all very similar to basically what you are used to coming from the Great Lyrian Forest.
I am going to choose unwelcome detention or put myself in a spot. This could be interesting.
Okay, yeah.
And that 1d4 is for the ability, and the ability I will give him is durable, which is
Yeah, I'm looking.
Won't be
you-
very smart.
I'm gonna read it out. You invoke a hungry spirit to possess a recently dead body and serve you. I'm gonna say recently dead is not a thing here. Like it doesn't make sense that you can't resurrect skeletons. Like that's stupid. Everybody can make skeletons. This creates a zombie that follows your orders to the best of its limited abilities. Treat the zombie as a character, but with access to only the basic moves. It has +1 modifier for all stats and HP. It also gets your choice of 1d4 traits. What did you roll on your 1d4?
I only rolled a 1, so I chose
that's
its durable.
So unfortunate. Yeah, he gains 2 HP for each level you have, so he has a total of 5 HP.
Given what I'm probably going to end up using this poor thing for, that's probably the only one that really mattered. More than the others, even. Might have given him a functioning brain if I'd rolled a 2.
Yeah. The zombie lasts until destroyed by taking damage in excess of its HP, or until you end the spell. While this is going on, you take -1, except you have your Serenity, so that doesn't matter.
Doesn't he have 7 hit points?
No, I actually am at -1 now because I'm using Serenity for Holy Weapon. Well, I
okay.
forgot. No, wait, never mind. I forgot Holy Weapon flubbed, so I actually don't have Holy Weapon.
Are you a level 3 or a level 2? You're level 2, right?
Me? I'm 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 7 then. Let me write that down. And actually, I'm going to ask you to keep track of his HP. If you let's see here.
I'll do that.
Yeah, if you want, you can duplicate your HP box and just copy it directly below. And do it there.
So hang on a second.
All right, so yeah, you raise dead. What does it look like when you do this?
In this particular case, I will likely be chanting considerably about him. I might set some small candles around him if I can say that I would have those. Not sure if that would be applicable or not.
Oh well, there are candles in the room. You could go get those.
Okay, I'll go grab some candles in the room and set those around him and do the proper ritual.
Yeah.
That's never worked for me in the past, but since I've been spoken to, I've felt a jolt of faith running through me. So
So you
I will.
guys hear this and see like something going on in this cell. And you feel like a kind of a wisp of wind through the cell. There's a like kind of an iron grate on the inner wall of the cell. It looks like some sort of ventilation system. Not very big or anything. And you feel like a kind of a chill, and its cloak stirs, and you hear a rasp, almost as if it's trying to take breath. And you hear the kind of the clattering of bones as this thing starts to move, and like with almost painful slowness, it puts its hand down on the floor, and it puts one hand up on the wall, and it kind of levers itself to a stand.
What was that?
Regon, what do you do?
I have brought. Sorry about that. I have brought back one of the wounded, or one of the slain. One of those slain by
Wounded.
Fenris the Green. I brought back one of those slain by Fenris the Green to extract his revenge on this place.
Vengeance. You just hear like a rasp from beneath this thing's hood. Now that it's up, you can see that it had a flattened quiver against its back.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to smile a grandfatherly smile at it and give a very encouraging yes, vengeance, and probably slide my curved throwing dagger into his sheath for it.
Yeah, the skeletal hand kind of goes down and presses its fingers against the dagger, and it just seems like it's feeling what you have put there, and it stares at you beneath its hood.
I will
Don't
promise.
think we have a need of more undead, Regon. We have enough trouble with the ones that are out there.
You need not be concerned with this one. I will definitely tell her before I turn to this thing and suggest that it could very well.
Hell, have you discovered anything?
In your reading, Tell, you have read that that Fenris was exiled, and he came here to the forest, this distinctly human forest, and with him, he kind of brought the knowledge of magic from the elves, and he was considered a great wizard by those of Arkval, and he basically found a place here as not necessarily a court mage, but a wizard serving the kingdom um, in some sort of era of rebuilding. It seemed like this is only a short time after some sort of great calamity struck many places around the world, and it's at this time that Arkval is in some sort of turmoil with Ashar and also with Boros and even Kald at the same time, and they were stretched thin, and they built a keep in Fenris Woods to keep an eye on the Lyrian forest in case the Asharans attempted to enter Arkval from there. It's a very long, circuitous way around, but the only pass other than that from Ishar to Arkval is Avaruk, and that was faithfully guarded by the garrison there. And in return for kind of maintaining this keep, and making sure, using his power to kind of hold this section of the border, Fenris was given resources and great leeway and latitude, and many men under his command. You've also read that apparently he brought a sapling from the great forest of one of the few magical trees that actually formed the heart of the Great Lyrian Forest, and he planted it in the courtyard of the keep, and he tended to it for many years, and you're basically just reaching the part where he describes a great plague moving through the forest, killing off the trees, and also killing his own tree, and he is talking about performing some sort of ritual to revive everything when Regan reanimates this corpse, and they walk out of this cell. And Sylviona is in the process of asking you this.
It seems that Feldris's tree was once of the great forest of Lyria, and that it died in some great plague. He apparently tried a ritual to revive it. I intend to do this myself, but I see not why he would ask the ritual to do a partial type of resurrection, unless the price was too great.
Yeah, so you're talking about this, and Regan emerges from the cell. You hear kind of just the faint clattering of bone on the floor as this skeletal, I guess, warrior or something follows behind him. Before any of you can do anything else, the warrior turns. Regan, your skeleton turns, and looks like alarmed, and it draws its dagger, and out of the shadows of the cell next to it, with its door open, that has thus far not been investigated, a second skeleton bursts forth, and tackles it down into the ground. What are you all doing? This thing is shaking, and it seems to be trying to climb over your skeleton and head straight for you, Regan.
So it's not actually attacking my skeleton, even though it's on top of it, correct? I was wondering if I was going to defend or not.
He has already hit your skeleton and knocked him to the ground, and they're both kind of tangled up, and it's trying to climb over your skeleton. Your skeleton is currently trying to hold it down and prevent it from getting at you. This is the scene.
Would defend apply if I was going to
No,
damage attacker?
Defend is a reactive thing in terms of you set a condition where you set to defend, and his next move to attack whatever you're trying to defend would then trigger.
Alright,
Okay.
I assume the form of the bear.
So Sylviona explodes into bear form as she rolls to shapeshift.
To be clear, Star, I have not yet reached level 4, technically, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have any spells then.
Okay.
I will definitely try to straight up hit the top skeleton with my mace at this point. Worked so hard for the skeleton.
Is that 2 hold, Sylviona?
Yes.
Yeah, you've got your 2 hold. You can spend 2 hold to basically use your bearish endurance to reject damage, and 1 hold to hibernate.
I wrote them down from before, by the way. So
Yeah, just
as long as it's the same thing. But Alright. I barrel through both skeletons.
Yeah, so you charge across the room and you attack. What specifically are you trying to do?
Shatter both skeletons and bones. Are they intertwined right now? I mean, I favor the
roughly.
one that's attacking Regan's skeleton, but if they both get hit, I don't care.
I'm currently looking to see if you can declare attacks against multiple targets with the hack and slash.
It almost seems the way he's describing it, that it would be if he fails, he's going to hit more than once. It sounds like he's prioritizing the top one. Just a thought.
Well, he just said he's trying to crush both skeletons.
Well, I mean, like, I'm favoring the top one, but if I happen to crush Regan's skeleton, I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, roll your hack and slash. 9. Yeah, so make your attack.
Four.
Yeah, you smack it with your claw, and drive it down into Regan's resurrected skeleton. Regan, mark down that your skeleton takes like a single point of damage just from the shock.
Cool.
Actually, mark down 2. That's kind of the official.
Marking down 2.
The skeleton kind of jumps up and attacks you with a like a back fist with perhaps more strength than it looks like it could muster.
Was it attacking me directly now?
No, it's attacking the bear.
Okay.
2 damage. Yeah,
Take
you
nothing.
you deflect it with your bear fat. What's going on with either Tell or Regan?
I would like to pick up a particularly heavy book and throw it at the skeleton.
Yeah, so you pick up the book describing the Lyrian forest.
Oh,
'cause,
no,
you know,
that's
it
my
was
bag.
right there. Did you put it in your bag? Last I heard of
the
it, it
next
was on the
heaviest
table.
book that isn't the important one that's Fenris' journal.
I didn't say it, but it is on my character sheet.
Yeah, she never gave that to me anyway. She kind of like just listed it up and showed it to me, and then I never heard anything else about it.
All right, yeah. We'll let you get away with that one. Yeah, you pick up a book that you have not looked at yet. Like a really heavy brown tome that is nearby, and throw it.
I never made a volley
Roll-
before.
Yeah, roll a volley.
I assume it's Dex, but I haven't read what it does.
Yeah, roll a volley. It's Dex.
10.
Nice. Yeah, you deal your damage. So you're like a 1d4 kind of guy.
Yeah. I guess that's the way it works, doesn't it? There's no penalty for improvised weapons or anything like that.
I think I can assign one, but like certainly if you were throwing at something with armor, this would not be armor piercing, and you would have no chance at all of going through armor. But this is a blunt object, and you are attacking basically something that is brittle. Just roll 1d4. Yeah, 3. You
Get
smack
back,
it
you
really
foul
hard.
beast! Ah!
You throw it through its ribcage, and its ribcage shatters and it falls over. It's still moving. Regan, what are you doing?
I'm probably going to yell to Sylvie to be careful as I attempt to just, I don't know, like a golf swing this top zombie with my mace.
All right, 4.
Hey, that's my job!
This goes well, its head might go flying across if I hit hard enough. I have to see. Probably get 1 attack damage again.
Yeah, do your
Gonna
roll.
roll it. Get if I hit it all here. Oh god!
Yeah, you swipe at it, and like you slip on actually like the cape of your skeleton, like you're standing on it, and you turn your foot to do your swing, and you slip and you fall. You fall on your ass, and this thing climbs atop you, and it starts clawing at you with its bony fingers
Oh boy.
for 4 damage.
3 after the armor, right?
Yeah. This thing is now atop Regan. Regan, what are the stats of your skeleton?
The stats on him would be he has 7 hit points and +1 to all attribute checks, I believe, is default. I'm double checking. The 7 hit points and
It doesn't give you a damage die for it, does it?
Because it has all basic moves. So it can do like, you know, hack and slash and stuff.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
have to have
I
a
don't
damage
see-
die to do damage.
I don't see what damage die would be for. There's no damage die listed. Just
Um,
that it receives a +1 modifier for basic moves.
Could just give it the
and,
lowest die.
Summon
D4.
monster uses my damage die.
Does it say that it uses your damage die? Let me look at Summon Monster.
While we're waiting, I'll take a slash at it.
Well,
It
his
uses your
skeleton's
damage
gonna
dice,
attack
and then you
first.
can show the things you can choose is to make it do 1d8.
I failed. Bad shit gonna happen.
Oh, I forgot to add my XP for that failure. Fix that.
that's really weird that they don't give it a damage die. I'm gonna say it uses yours. Yours is D6, right?
Yeah, D6.
And
Maybe it goes off whatever the guy was in life.
yeah, it's possible. That probably makes sense. Let me look what this guy would be then.
Probably a ranger if he had a bow.
Yeah, what is the damage die for Ranger? D8.
Actually, I like that way of handling it. Actually, I think that's probably the
Yeah,
best way to
because
do
if
it.
you revived one of your fallen companions, they would use their damage die. Right, so you failed on your roll. How did you attack Sylvonia? As like
I was making a claw attack at the one that was on top of Raygun.
you swipe at it,
Yep.
and like basically your claws just glance off of it and go past it, and it makes a slash at your eyes. Two. Yeah, apparently you close your eyes, and you're able to shrug it off. I imagine you're howling though, like this doesn't feel
Mhm.
good.
In pain.
As that happens, Regan, your skeleton jumps on its back with its knife out, and like if this thing had a throat to cut, it would basically be slicing its throat. Now it looks like it's basically just trying to lever its head off of its spine. Oh, that was not what I meant to roll. Rolling hack and slash is 2d6. And do you say it gets a +1 on everything?
Plus 1 to all its stats.
Okay, so yeah. I'll just take that 2 damage that I rolled beforehand. Yeah, your skeleton jumps on this thing's back, and it just shouts, "Die, traitor!" And it decapitates it, and the skeleton's head goes flying.
As a side note, that's probably why it's limited to a recently dead corpse, because assuming you just killed it, the DM has the stats for it already.
Yeah, that's true. We're not gonna play it that loosely. Like,
That's probably why it's written that way, though.
yeah, but I just don't feel like somebody who's a necromancer could be in a graveyard and not summon a skeleton. That
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I appreciate
I agree,
that,
that's
man, I
fair.
do.
I'm saying that for convenience, that's probably why it's written that way, though.
yeah. This thing dies. Or re-dies. Who knows?
Friend Raygon, it would be great if you would, maybe refrain from attracting unwanted attention when we're trying to discover things?
I will apologize and introduce you to, and then I'll realize I forgot to ask the creature's name. So I'll turn to Savonia and say, perhaps you could give it some a name to call it by, until I can learn its true name again.
It's like it's stood up, it's put its dagger back in its sheath, and it's studying all three of you calmly.
I'm going to sound very approving of its actions and be almost giving it positive reinforcement like you would with the puppy, even though I don't think that's going to maybe fly with him. But then I'm going to I'll go down to the skeleton that was destroyed. I'm going to rip some bones off of it. I'm going to attempt to fuse those bones back into the damaged parts of my skeleton with cure light wounds, if that's possible.
Let me see here. Hang on.
So I pop back into being druid. I spend all my hold.
When you go to kind of break bones off of this thing to like repair your own skeleton, that's a really funny idea. I really like that.
Have any trouble breaking them off?
I'm just determining one thing. You find a small pouch, just like apparently the only thing that's kind of remaining on this thing is the shirt it was wearing, and there was like a pouch in its breast pocket with 18 coin. You can mark that down if you want. And yeah, you break
Nice.
you break some bits off of it, and you want to try to repair. You want to give me a cure light wounds roll on this thing. I'm gonna say normally you can't use a cure spell on a skeleton, but since you are who you are and you are doing this in an intelligent manner, you're not necessarily curing, you're just trying to fuse. So I'll let you do it. Like, you can't do it at will, you have to have the components for it in time, so.
That sounds reasonable to me. Let me give it a shot.
An 8. Yeah, what is your downside? I think I know which one everybody is hoping you don't choose.
Yeah, I'm not gonna choose what everyone's hoping I don't choose, I don't think. I'm gonna pick the hang on a second. Probably going to pick the -1 ongoing, which means well that's really rough. You know, I hate to do it, but I'm gonna go with revoked.
Okay. Roll your 1d8. Yeah. Yeah, the skeleton is not only as good as it was, like now, like there's no cracks in it at all. Like it looks like a pristine form of a human skeleton or humanoid skeleton. Like, it's hard to tell. Like, the skull seems to be slightly elongated, just a little bit beneath its hood.
Savonia's still in bear form, right?
No, she
druid
fell
form.
out of
She's
it.
back? Okay, I'll ask her what we should name our new traveling companion.
Your skeleton. Ask it its name.
While this conversation is going on, I'm getting back to the book. It was just getting
I'm
important. I wanted to know
wary
about
of
where
the skeleton as it is, but
Good, what's going on with the
it
book?
is an unnatural blight to nature. I'll have nothing to do with it. Should have died long ago.
It did die long ago.
It should still be dead.
I will explain there is much you don't know about the world. When I eventually can teach you the art of reading, you might understand more.
So, what's going on with everybody?
I'm getting back to the book. It was just starting to tell me what I wanted to know about where the ritual site was.
Yeah. Like he conducts a ritual. And it looks like he had to prepare for months to do this. And meanwhile, the forest died around him. He describes in pretty stark detail that he like I think you start to get the sense that he's almost going mad as he watches this tree that he is kind of taken care of for what is actually over a century at this point, like wither and die, and he becomes like increasingly obsessed with regrowing the forest and restoring the spirit of the forest to life. And he starts kind of making sacrifices to it, trying to recharge it using life power. And eventually, he basically just performs a ritual on the tree. And like from what you can see, that is how the tree basically became undead. The tree is called Feldrassen, and like in the book, he describes bringing it back to life, but he also describes the first green ones and the plague that they basically brought.
It seems that his plans did not go as he foreseen. It all seems like he went mad toward the end.
Perhaps burning the tree is probably the best course of action then.
That may be so, but it will not spare our lives.
I'm going to pipe up and say that I'll burn the tree, even if it means my life.
I think something that really catches your eye is like at this point, like it's just kind of the ramblings of this guy who is obsessed with kind of attaining perfect eternal life thanks to this tree and like what is come. It's clear to you in his writings that he never actually died. He seems to have made some sort of deal with something he refers to as the Dark One, that lies somewhere beneath the ground. And like he describes that in return for his soul, he gained a number of years equal to as long as his tree was alive, and like he had never actually really died. And so like there's this kind of this mad rambling for most of the book, and you're flipping through it. Towards the end, he starts talking about this group of insane elves that have come from the Lyrian forest to spite him and persecute him, and that have been attacking him in the tree and destroying his minions. He writes about a great battle with some sort of spirit master of the forest, basically what you conceive to be a druid, who drew some sort of thing of rock and fire from the sky and utterly crushed the keep and just destroyed it in an attempt to destroy the tree, and the tree was killed, and the forest was set ablaze, and the keep was collapsed and destroyed, and that was how this crater, you assume, was made. But because of this spell that he had basically cast upon the tree, it promptly returned to life before basically his own deal could kind of come up. And and it regrew over the next 40 or 50 years, and that was how it ended up at the bottom of this hole. And it's described that only once afterwards did the Rangers attempt to try to burn the tree out. And you gather that the tree is not immune to damage. It's just simply that it keeps returning back to undeath.
Can I spout lore about the Dark One and about the nature and rules of his deals, potentially? I think that might be something that may have come up in one of my religious texts. Seems like it would cross over.
Yes. Yeah, you can spout lore. I really wish I could assign
Interested in the
modifiers,
rules and
because this would be a hard one.
very interested in the rules of the if he has to play by rules of Link when it comes to his
Was that
making
11 year
deals
old?
like that. Yep, that was my roll.
Yeah, so the Dark One, you don't really recognize. What you basically get from this is, from what he describes, it has to be some sort of ancient power. There are many kind of beings that have been referred to over time as the Dark One. It's a fairly ubiquitous term. In his writings, he also refers to it as the One in the Dark. I think you just you get the sense of like looking at what this kind of deal has promised, and like more or less you're not even really getting information on the Dark One. It's just like, what sort of power would it take to make a deal like this and actually have it stand, and have this elf live for centuries. You feel that this could be some sort of primordial being that he made an alleged deal with.
I'm going to be very interested in learning all I can about this being.
Is it May Raygon? We have little time. We've already spent probably too much time here.
I'm going to suggest that we take this book with us while we continue on.
Of course. Nothing else. It is something to prove to the elves above that he is dead.
What's the name of the book, and are you going to carry it in your inventory, or do you want me to carry it in my inventory?
It's simply his journal.
I shall do it then. Journal of Fenris. The Green.
Yeah, since he's the only one that can read it.
Yep, that definitely is a very key thing. Characters muttering about stupid Elvish.
So what are you guys gonna do? Like, you're leaving the chamber, I assume. Like, what is your status right now? Like, what are you guys in rough shape?
I'm at 10 of 16.
I've got
at-
3 hit points at the moment.
You have 3 hit points?
That's it?
I'm down 3 hit points. And
Okay.
I'm down
I was gonna
3 hit
say.
points. Big difference there.
I thought you had more than that.
Yeah, so you guys are leaving this room, and you know, what is your purpose? Where are you going?
I guess we're gonna try and destroy the tree again,
Well,
at least
my
temporarily.
original belief was to use a ritual to bring the tree back to its glory, but he's already tried that, it would seem. So, in that he chose this horrible form, it would seem to me that the price was too high.
So do you guys discuss how you're going to try to destroy the tree as you make your way back there?
I suppose I could try my mastery again, but I don't know.
It has taken too much from you already, Sylvie.
You
I'll
you,
ask.
you definitely know. Let me just recap from this book tell that you can kill this tree, but it will not stay dead. I assume you relay this to the rest of the group.
Yes.
I'll suggest two options. One, we could try to find the source of the tree's power and destroy it from there. Or two, we could,
So
I guess
the
there really
book
isn't
said
much
it
to
won't
think
stay
about it.
dead because of an enchantment that Fenris had placed upon it, right?
Basically woven into it. Yes. When you were near the tree and doing your kind of sense magic, you only sensed a vague magic from it. Like, the tree itself was magical now.
But dead, and then not dead.
Yeah.
I'm really worried about Fenris coming back now, because if his life is tied to it. But the book seemed to say that he had an extra number of years equal to it, not necessarily that he could regenerate as long as the tree was alive.
So, I think the fundamental problem you guys have here is even if you kill it, how do you prevent it from regenerating?
The only thing I can think of is to try the ritual that he was going to do to bring it back in the first place, where he went mad and corrupted it himself, and see what the cost is.
We could try to purify the soil.
But we have
after
no
the tree's
idea where
destroyed,
that
but
point is.
The base of the tree. Would be where he cast it from, I would imagine. We had little time there before because
You
of
did
the...
not detect anything there when we were there.
Yeah, when you were reading the book, you found no mention of any source of power.
I find that particularly odd. So, my only option then is to ask him myself, which I would need the rest to do. I don't think we have the time to do. But if I had the spell, I could contact his spirit, which theoretically is now available, and he would have to answer my question.
But it took years for the tree to regrow. It would at least give us time, or at least give someone time.
I'll suggest that first we cannot destroy the tree, but I'm very much in favor of still destroying it. Obviously, that the very worst scenario, we can contain it by destroying it as it is, and then having the elves literally stand watch to prevent it from ever growing again. But that would be a worst case scenario. I
I
positively
doubt
want to
that will
destroy it.
solve the problem.
Positively want to destroy the tree. So
To me, a ritual to cleanse the entire place is the only thing that could probably work.
But Fenris tried that. It didn't work.
Indeed, but the cost is what matters. I know not what the cost was. But it's the only way I can see that's within our power to do. The only other thing is to deal with this dark power, which I am not willing to do.
You are aware at least somewhat of the cost that he paid. I talked about sacrifices that he made. He seemed to have been willing to sacrifice many lives in the attempt of this. So it's reasonable to assume that whatever he did, he paid some sort of very high cost for it. So do you all continue on to the tree? What do you do?
I know not what to do.
Neither do I. Ritual was the only thing I could think of, and that has been taken off the books.
I would suggest there might be a way to contact Fenris, but it would require, obviously, we would need to know the exact questions to ask him.
Well, the questions that I wanted related to finding the site of the ritual so that I could conduct one myself, but it seems the price will be too high.
Too high is a relative term. I am literally just telling you what he did.
I'll suggest we return back to the base of the tree and make our plan from there, or make our attempt from there.
We have Little other places to go. We may as well.
Were there any farewells or anything in this area?
When we came down.
Any rugs?
Rugs?
Such as might be thrown over a trapdoor? Then I probably wouldn't know that, so.
You guys, I mean, you guys have left the room. Are you talking about back in his chambers?
Yeah, forget it then.
Are we able to make it back to the tree without incident?
Yeah. If you're going back, it seems like, you know, you make your way out of the tunnel and up the stairs that that Tel had cleared before and out into the damp, you know, death smelling chamber that's the black chamber. And you see the tree. It's nighttime now, and it's vaguely illuminated by the stars and the moon. You feel eyes on you, but it not from close. It seems like you have done nothing but wreak chaos and destruction since you have been here, and perhaps the death of Fendris has shaken whatever resolve his minions had left. But
What's where
you are not challenged openly.
Is the tree any different?
The tree appears to be the same. The skeleton that you have with you walks by your side silently, without any sort of incident.
Once we get there, I'm going to set up some basically like an incense burner.
Regon, did you ask this thing how it was going to go about destroying the tree?
I'm
Or
going
you
to look-
didn't?
Going to look very unfortunate and say that unfortunately I don't think he has the needed intelligence to tell us this at the moment.
Do you not have a spell to speak with corpses?
Well, that's actually a good question, sir. If I actually if you speak with Deadon, would he be able to answer me intelligently, or would he still be completely
It
dumb?
answers 3
You-
questions.
You would think that basically when you summoned his spirit into the skeleton, it was enough to have the skeleton move and carry out your basic commands. If you were to cast Speak with Dead, it would allow the spirit to return closer to reality. You know, it would not be as deep beneath the waters of death, and it would actually be more coherent enough to answer 3 questions.
I'm going to stress to the group that I might be able to only ask one or the other. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the energy today to ask both. I could either try to contact Fenris through a long shot ritual, or I could try to contact, or I should try to improve the intelligence of my companion here to ask him what his plan was. What would the group prefer me to try?
Well,
Is an elven skeleton, yes? Maybe this is the one who came to try?
It looks vaguely elven. It's hard to tell.
In that case, is the general vote with trying to improve my skeletons to ask him the questions? Do we have a group consensus?
That's what I was suggesting. I don't know what Tel thinks.
Alright, I'm gonna give it a shot. I might be able to do both, but if I fail it, I'm gonna end up
So
doing
you-
some,
So you pause at the base of the tree, and you're now in the circle at the base of the tree in the moonlight, and of course you have your own light lighting the way. You're casting Speak with Dead.
Yep, I'm gonna lay my hand on my skeleton's forehead and perform my ritual chant and see if I can
Alright.
cast Speak with Dead on him again here.
Yeah, it just looks at you silently as you do this.
Okay, and for the negative, I will take, believe, you know what? I'm gonna go with, -1 I'm going.
Okay. You see kind of bluish light, almost like the tiny sparks of fire just form within his eyes just for a moment, and it turns its head to you within its hood, like it was looking at you before, but now it seems to actually be taking you in.
I'm going to confer with the group before I actually officially ask the question, what the first question should be. I'm suggesting, what was his plan for destroying the tree, or how can the tree be destroyed, but I am open to suggestion. I'll probably cast it this as a verbal kind of speaking, if that's possible too, so the whole group can hear when he responds.
Tell is going to be muttering to himself about ritual, and perhaps if not the ritual to restore the tree, as we seem the price for that is too high, perhaps a ritual to end the spell that keeps it regenerating.
Yeah, I will turn to the skeleton and ask, is there a way to keep the tree from regenerating?
He looks at you, and the shard of the gate.
I'm going to pull out the...
Does that work on a tree?
I fear he does not mean that shard.
I'm going to pull out the shard and show it to him and ask if if this is the one that he refers to.
As soon as you pull it out, you feel kind of like I think you have sort of a bond with your skeleton, just like a very small one. You feel kind of like something go through it, and it's very clear to everybody standing there that like his posture changes, and he is staring at this thing. That is it. That is what I sought.
I'm going to turn to Telemon and Savonia with a bit of a smile and ask what the third question they would have for him is then.
That only works on bodies, right?
You don't know any of this. You have no meta knowledge.
What I know of it, I did roll, I believe, a spot wisdom on it before, but didn't say everything, is that whatever it is driven into cannot return from the dead. I was not aware that it would work on a tree. I had not considered that, so...
Well, worth a try, maybe? Don't know.
I'm going to tell Telemon and Savonia that we need to destroy the tree before we can attempt to use it, and then ask if they do have a third question.
Does he know? Well, he probably wouldn't know. Oh, for lack of a better question, does he know where Fenris conducted his ritual?
I'll turn and ask, where was the site of the original ritual?
Here. He turns and kind of looks at the scene, spreading his arms.
We did not approvingly, and think to myself that if he continues being useful, one of these times I'll have to ask his name.
Poor guy.
I'm going to turn and very, very, very carefully make sure to put this spike in an area that I can very easily protect on my person rather than the bag, since it's of newfound importance.
Yeah.
One wonders where the spike is to go then. Surely we will burn down much of the tree. What is left to spike?
The tree mostly burned down now, or is the
Did
tree
you say it
still-
had to be used on a corpse? Is that what you
Tree
said?
didn't burn last time, as far as I know.
The tree did not burn.
Yeah, the tree is still was on fire briefly, and then it burnt out because of all the moss. So I
But
know
it
that
was
the issue.
protected by his magic, right?
Probably looked at
You felt the
Telemon.
rumble in the ground. Was
Give
that
that you know
the
what to do.
protection?
Look at Telemon.
I do not have the spell today, my friend. They were all burned from my mind when fighting Fenris. I would need a rest to restore the magic.
Regan, we have established that you know something of this this artifact. Is it safe to say that you have a book on interesting artifacts like this that like particularly concern death and you know things like that?
Yeah, things of the nature of death and ancient things might be in my actual tome, so I've been using that as like a non-bonus kind of.
Well, if you would like to use one of your bag of books uses,
If I
you
have
could
something
you
from,
could. I don't think it's very out of the ordinary to say that maybe you have a more specific text that you have used for research purposes that maybe describes artifacts or phenomenon.
well, actually, all the books in my bag of books I took from the library here. Remember? So I'm gonna actually roll and see, look through there and see if there's perhaps one that was in the library that might matter here,
Okay, all right.
or the armory, I guess would be where it would be. So let me. I'm gonna roll with a bag of books.
Yep.
Then. That's a +1, right?
Atop your normal int modifier.
Okay. Is it int? Okay.
Yeah, it's spout lore. That is a success. One of the books from the library, perhaps appropriately enough, does contain mention of the Gates of Death, and it's not so much a tome about artifacts as the phenomenon of death and people's descriptions of the afterlife. And you would know that there have been cases where people have returned to life through means other than necromancy, some basically unknown, and people who have had normal near-death experiences who have described what it is like beyond life. And there is an extensive chapter, kind of the highlight of this book, regarding the Black Gate of or the Black Gates of Death itself. And there is kind of a subsection, and it is mentioned that, and let me see here. It is mentioned that the gate is thorned almost like a rose, and it contains curved spikes upon its bars, presumably to keep those in or out who should be there. And it is rumored that if one of these spikes were to have been broken off and somehow taken back to the mortal realm, if it were to be hammered into a corpse, it would ensure that that corpse would never rise again. And no magic short of that of death with a capital D himself could reignite the flame of life.
Yeah, that's what was told to us last session.
What is told to Regan?
I'm going to probably roll my eyes at Telemon's last comment, then knowing this, and say that if we absolutely must, or if you absolutely must rest before you can light this tree ablaze, then that's what we must do. I have a question with Animate Dead. Can I keep that ongoing through a rest period, or do I have to reanimate after?
Let me look.
And do you have to rest? Can
I
just
might
one
not
person rest, or does the party as a whole have to rest?
I would choose not to. That was a good question because I was going to say if I could choose not to rest, if I have to rest, or if I have to reanimate in that case.
You can choose not to rest. If you are doing, a couple hour rest, like, maybe you're not hungry or something. You won't get any of the benefits.
I don't need any of the benefits.
Yeah, so that's fine.
It doesn't last
Um,
until I end the spell, so I'm wondering if I can maintain animate dead through a rest period.
Actually, the thing is, I think all of your spells stop when you rest because you go back to your communion and basically you lose any spells granted to you already, and then you gain whatever spells you want, even if you're taking the same spells. So yeah, if you rest, he will unanimate. But the skeleton will still be there.
It can't be that. Honestly, out of all of them, animate dead's the only one I would even kind of lean towards saying, even try to attempt to be concerned about that with, really. Because, I mean, a lot of these, it seems like a lot of these dead creatures that wizards animate still function after they're moving around and
The
whatnot.
thing is,
So I
you
wasn't
can
sure.
you can always roll again, and maybe you'll
I
even
guess
roll
that's
higher.
true. I suppose that's true.
But yeah, it is very definite. When you rest, all of
Okay.
your ongoing spell effects end.
Sounds good. I'm going to skip resting this time then.
So, you guys are camping out here.
Pretty much.
Are you taking any special precautions as Telemon rests, and Telemon marks down a ration?
Keeping an eye out to see if they come closer. I can't think of anything else to do.
I will serve as vigilant guard, giving quiet but impatient looks at Telemon as he prepares his fire again. I will have
Alright.
my animated dead also try and stand guard, watching my blind spot, so to speak.
Yeah, you
Is it my understanding that the spells of the person end when they die?
almost assuredly for the most part, unless some sort of permanency has been woven into a very, very specific spell. Or unless its spell effect was simply to cause something. Like you cause a plague upon someone. That might be different. I'd have to kind of rule differently on that, maybe.
I'm going to attempt to feebly motivate my poor animated skeleton's motivations by definitely assuring that if it continues to cooperate, that it will leave this place.
I think like if you're paying it any sort of attention, you see it give kind of a look, or not even a look, like occasionally as it's kind of searching the horizon very stoically, watching your camp, its eyes will fall on Sylviona and just remain there for several minutes.
Definitely will be keeping an eye on it to make sure it doesn't do anything untoward, but
His attention seems to be on Sylviona, but like it's hard to really gauge where exactly a skeleton is looking since it has no eyes, and like its face is cloud or shadowed because of its hood.
speaking of which, I'm gonna put those coins that I have sketched eyes onto funeral style into the Dark Age funeral style into his eyes, so he's gonna have two poorly sketched eyes on coins in
Okay.
his sockets.
Yeah, like you can imagine the Terminator, like it's basically like that. He just allows you to do this. Tell, have you finished your rest preparations?
Yes, I've prepared Detect Magic, Dispel Magic, and Fireball.
Alrighty. Yeah, so an hour passes, I presume. You only rest for like a short while. And movement is definitely detected off in the distance, but nothing approaches within the light of Regan's mace.
Okay, friends, I believe I am ready to try. Well, first things first, I shall attempt to remove whatever enchantment he has protecting this tree that may remain. Spell magic. Well,
Nice. So you cast Dispel Magic on the tree. What does it look like as you do this?
a field of blue comes out before my hand and waves across it, maybe like a sonic boom type look thing.
Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, I can totally imagine that.
Now, in theory, that should have ended whatever effect he may have had there, so we should be able to burn it.
Yeah, I think you send this wave into the tree, and you hear wind rustling the leaves in the boughs of the tree above you, but you feel no wind. And that is it.
I wish to detect magic.
All right.
9.
That is your downside.
I will forget it. But I still get to see what I wanted to know, if it's still magical in the tree or not.
Yeah. You're using your sight.
Yes.
So you open your eyes and you see light shining brightly from Regan's mace, and also at his hip where this like horribly painful looking kind of black cast iron spike is resting. It's kind of radiating a faint, almost a black light. It's very odd. The skeleton standing next to him is sheathed in a thin layer of this same kind of murky sort of fog almost about its bones, and you basically kind of pick up on all of the other magical equipment you have as you turn your attention to the tree, and you look deep within it for the first time. You see that the tree itself almost gives no light whatsoever in your new senses. But the more you concentrate, you seem to pick up a faint like glimmer almost from the center of the tree. You definitely think that there is something magical here. And it seems to be running up the length of the tree. Looking at the outside of the tree, like the magic fades. The further you look in, it gets a little bit more noticeable. Just looking at it, you have to assume that the tree is magical in some sense.
It would appear that Fenris has embedded some magical artifact at the center of the tree. Perhaps to continue the spell.
I will re-describe, or I will reintegrate this. This thing that I described in the center, I did say it ran up the length of the tree, and this tree is at least 120 feet tall.
So a well of energy rising up the tree. In a straight
well
line,
is
or
your
along
word.
what would be the trunk roots?
If you know anything about trees, you would say maybe the heartwood of the tree. And perhaps looking at this, maybe this starts to make sense to your senses if you start to consider what a tree actually is, and that its outermost layers are only slightly living. Some of the outermost layers are dead, and a tree is a very gradual being in that the most alive parts are towards the center, and the outer rings, as you look at them, grow less so. And so the very most outer thing of outer layer of the tree is most certainly not alive, but it is debatable as to how far that goes. And this is a kind of sickly green color, but it's very faint, like barely perceptible.
Seem that we may have to burn the outside away to reach the core and then try again.
I'm gonna think back to when I was able to damage part of it with my my mace, but I had holy weapon up at the time, so I'm just gonna keep it in the back of my head. And
You see that hole in the tree.
The
I'm going to be
core
perhaps-
appears to radiate magical energies, despite my distilled magic. We may have to expose it more directly to the waves.
I'll point out the hole that I made before and see that if perhaps that would be a good weak point to start the fire.
We can perhaps try, friend Rhaegon, though it appears to radiate throughout the whole of the tree, and not merely a single place.
You would know by people who live in medieval times, and basically by virtue of things burning is basically what keeps you alive, that you cannot light a log from the inside very easily, especially something that is apparently semi-living. It has to have oxygen, it has to have room to breathe. If it is entirely solid, it is very hard.
Do you have much experience with poisons, Telemon? I have very little. Only certain members of my order are trained in that profession.
I'm afraid not.
Do you examine this wound that you previously gave the tree?
I'm positively going to go over and examine it.
Yeah, so it's like maybe 60 feet away. It's barely visible to you. You can see a thick black kind of ooze has congealed around it, but you have basically created a like a divot, like 1 foot in diameter and like maybe 9 or 10 inches deep in this thing. And there's like a couple cracks running a little bit further, but for the most part that is what happened. And you can see like just the very most outer layer of the wood is a certain color, and it kind of starts to change colors as it gets deeper. It's impossible to tell what's actually 9 inches down there because it's covered in this kind of thick black sap, which has actually flowed down the bottom of the hole. But like you would guess that it is gone at least past the very outer layer of the trunk.
Perhaps if we were to burn it, it would burn off the layers of dead to the inner core. As I'm breathing heavily.
While she's saying that, I'm going to take a swing at it with my mace since I remember it reacted strangely, but I'm not sure if it has to.
You also remember
it'll
that
matter
it
with
had
holy weapon.
acidic qualities.
Yep, I'm going to see if it reacts again. It
Do you
didn't
have-
It didn't seem to hurt my mace.
do you have
it
holy
seemed
weapon
to react
on?
with it. Holy weapon is not on, so I'm going to see if that's going to do anything or not.
You can strike the tree.
Should I roll an attack or just damage in this case?
Roll damage.
God!
Your
I
mace
rolled
just
one every
bounces
time.
off the like the mostly hardened ooze, and like your arm stings.
You know, I've literally every attack I've rolled in this game so far has been 1 damage. It's just a hilarious side note. All my extra damage has been on Holy Weapon.
Well, I believe we shall attempt to burn it now.
I will concur. Make sure my my skeleton gets wide out of the way, since I have a feeling you guys aren't looking out for his safety as much as you should, and I will go along out of the way as well.
So yeah, you guys are backing up and letting the red wizard do his thing.
Yep, I'm gonna back up and let him do his thing.
Yeah, the skeleton follows you.
15.
Holy crap!
All
Not
right.
sure why I'm betting minimum damage. Nope, 9.
You've had much better luck with damage.
Where are you aiming this fireball?
I want to shoot it at the canopy.
Yeah, so you fired this canopy. Like, you guys see this flare of the fireball, like as big around as it's like, I don't know, like maybe a barrel or something, as it flies through the
Alright,
night
as it flies
air.
through the air, I'm gonna call Elemental Mastery to try and make my Fire Nado like I wanted before.
Yeah, let's see that.
Oh, here it goes again.
You're going to try to enhance the power of this fireball.
Yes, and like wrap the entire tree in flame. If it's
Okay.
if I roll well, let's see.
Regan's
Oh,
going to
praise
make a
be
note
the
to smile
spirits of the
approvingly.
air. 11 this time. Okay,
Yeah. Let's see what your choices are.
I choose I keep control, and the effect you desire comes to pass.
All right. So, so this fireball is streaking through the opening around the base of the tree, and like you see, its glow against the tree and the moss underneath the hole, and it streaks out of the opening, and into the night sky, and it's heading straight for the canopy. And all of a sudden, Sylviona starts. What? How do you do this?
I like cast my hands to the sky, and I say, "Oh, great spirits of the air, purge this, or drip this tree of its outer bark, whip this fire into a tornado, with the tree at its
Yeah.
core." Yeah.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, this fireball just expands and explodes into like multiple times its size. I think Telemon, you're like surprised by this, and you all feel heat from this fireball, even though you're 100 feet away from it. It smashes into the canopy, and like the most brilliant flash you have ever seen goes off. There is a thunderous crash, and there's just this massive explosion, and like the wind whips up about you, and like there's like a tremor that runs through the ground. I think you're probably all knocked to your feet almost by the virtue of this explosion.
Wait,
And,
it's not done.
And the top of the tree is ablaze. Like half of it has been blown away by this explosion, and fire is just like leaking down the side of this thing, and it seems to be like it's not even just burning, like it's wrapping around it, and like you hear like a wind almost
I wish
as
to further its efforts by trying to suppress the magic at the core.
How are you gonna do
You can-
that?
Well, that's what the spell magic literally does.
Oh.
which you can try.
8. I'll take -1 ongoing.
Make sure you guys are keeping up with your negative ones, because I literally cannot do that.
And this is the first time I've done it.
Okay. The fire spreads, and in Sylviona, you feel like the heat in your chest is the spirits of the fire expand this thing into basically a cyclone that covers the upper half of the tree, and like you hear rushing wind, and it becomes very obvious to you guys that it is very dangerous to stand where you are.
Come, Sylvie, we must go back into the tunnels, away from this.
I must control it.
I will carry you. Control it as we go.
I'm going to assist my skeleton and also getting to cover.
Okay, yeah. Well, he follows, his cape blowing about behind him, but he charges after you diligently. There is wind just whipping everywhere, and fire and heat. You can hear cries that you recognize as the green ones screaming, and it seems the whole tree is ablaze, and you are forced to flee into the tunnels to escape this heat. So yeah. What are you guys doing once you get into the tunnel? There is this massive cyclone of fire basically curled around the tree.
So I guess I have one arm like outstretched, eyes fixed on the tree, maintaining control.
Yeah.
I just hope it is enough.
You sit there and I say sit because it's going to take a while. Even with the mighty power of this thing, this tree is who knows how thick. But soon you're seeing debris like whip around the center of the chamber, and it's almost like there is a tornado rolling around this thing, and it's almost deafening to all of you. And you see the occasional wisp of fire in the tornado. The tree is just ablaze, and you see bits of it disintegrating, and bark flying. You see moss catch fire and just simply be ripped up and torn off into the sky. You see what seems to be silhouettes of creatures being torn up, and you see soil and just all amount of destruction. All of the while, Sylviona, you feel your fever not only double but triple, and you feel the aches in your body even more, and your heart rate increases, and it's beating faster than you have ever felt it in your life. And you know that something is terribly wrong with you. You have exacted nature's price many times within the last 24 hours, and this last one, it seems to have made whatever sickness that you are suffering from far worse. You feel yourself slipping. You continue to hold on to control of the fire.
Yeah, and I roll Defy Danger Mental Fortitude. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sylviona, as this tree burns gloriously to the ground. Let me find the appropriate music for this.
Must control.
Sylvie?
Oh, come on. I know I have something for this.
By the way, did you get that message? I wasn't sure if it
I
translated.
I can't read text while I'm GMing.
Ah, okay.
If you have something to say, just interrupt me when possible.
Oh no, it was just in relation to one of my goals that I needed to not announce publicly is all. So I tried using the whisper inside of DM20 or Roll20. I mean.
Actually, you know what? Maybe this is not appropriate for music. We'll just do this. Over the next hour and a half, you three witness this entire chamber kind of catch fire. The heat is unbearable, but you can't move lest Sylviona lose control of this. And in your arms, Telamon, Sylviona is she's fiercely kind of this entire time outstretched with her hand, just focusing all of her energy on this fire. And like I think you notice that she's very hot and she's very warm, but it's almost kind of an afterthought because all of you are so hot. Regan, I think like your skeleton is like in front of you, partially trying to obscure you from the fires. At some point they get very close, and like it almost seems to you that you will be all consumed by this, but Sylviona manages to back the flames away from you. And over the course of this hour and a half, you watch this tree burn, and branches topple from above. Part of the tree collapses, and as all that happens, you witness layers upon layers of the tree falling off, and the tree basically burns to the ground. What is left is kind of a blackened core that is still a cinder, still aflame in places, as the fire starts to die out. Finally.
Worth noting, I wish to
it's
continue to
almost
stare at the entire time with detect magic.
Yeah, you definitely see like the magic grow to like the faintest it has ever been, and then after a moment it winks out. One second to the next, it's just finally gone. And what is basically left is almost you can picture a log that has been in the fire for a long time. There are scattered fires on top of the bowl. Like a couple branches are atop the bowl, and you can see them kind of hanging down a bit as they're burning. There's scattered fires in the cavern. There's the occasional place on the remnants of the trunk that only stretches maybe 40 feet up now, that are still afire, but yeah, this thing is kind of in cinders. I think Regan and Telamon, you watch this, and like this is an amazing sight. This is the most amazing power of nature you have ever seen, and the fact that Sylviona was able to keep it at bay and not kill you is phenomenal. You see like the actual soil and the dirt in like right at the base of the tunnel before you has almost turned to glass with the heat, and it is almost as if the entire inner chamber has been scorched. I think you all wait in silence for many moments, and Telamon, you.
I pretty much will be in prayer this entire time while I witness this.
At some point, Telamon, you realize that Sylviona's arm is no longer outstretched, and she is no longer warm.
Sylvie.
I should note I'm watching her incredibly carefully while I'm watching the Firestorm too.
Sylviona does not answer you. Sylviona has passed.
Uh-oh.
Her body is curled up, or her small body is curled up in Telamon's arms. Her arm is still outstretched over his lap, but now lies limply on upon his thigh and down on the ground. Her hands still open towards where the fires raged. Her eyes are closed. Her cheeks are lightly scuffed with soot from the ash and the smoke. And Sylviona is no more.
I am going to run over to her with an incredible panic and of course, immediately begin any kind of prayers I can towards this end. I should know. I don't know if it's going to impact potentially anything, but the prayer I've been doing this entire time has involved her. So that was why I sent you the message too. I wasn't. So I'm not sure if that'll make any impact on what happens after her death or not. But
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys just sit there for a while and kind of and realize that she's given her life to destroy this thing. At some point, Regan, I think it occurs to you, and I think maybe it's because the skeleton, your skeletal companion, is looking at you, and you follow his gaze, and his gaze is now down on the barb at your belt. I think it occurs to you what you that this may be a good time to use the barb.
I am going to definitely hold a very strong resolve. I'm going to tell my skeleton to watch her body and make sure that it is not destroyed or taken. And then I'm going to get my warhammer, swing it around once, pull out the black barb, and start marching my way out towards the tree.
All right, yeah. Describe what you do.
Is there enough of a clearing where I can get to the base of the tree or somewhere near that?
I think you're gonna have to pull your cloak tight, and really you're not basically walking in fire, but this place is so hot that it is going to hurt. But with your resolve, you can push through. You anticipate that you may be burned,
I will
but
push
you can
through gladly.
push through and get to the trunk of the tree, and you can see, flowing with like an almost bloody ooze, the wound that you gave the tree earlier. Like the sap has all melted and is flowing openly, and it strikes you that this is like an appropriate place.
I am going to continue my prayer that I've been continuing, except for now I'm going to change it towards dedicating this, of course, to my deity and all of that. And then I will get down on one knee, place the black bolt is a slight bit towards the end of the tree, and then as soon as I have it in position, I'm going to continue saying a prayer, raise my mace really high into the air. I'm going to try to bring it down on the bolt as hard as I physically can.
Yeah. So you smack it into the tree with a resounding, thump, and it sinks a third of the way in. Do you continue hammering?
I'm going to raise it again. Probably say another brief prayer, and then I'm going to smash it into the hammer again.
Yeah, a second one sends it almost all the way in. It looks like one last hammer will do it.
There'll be a look of
what has happened is not correct. Shall we
it is very
this?
hard to talk here. The air is hard to breathe, and it stings the inside of your lungs.
Telemon might not see it over the look of fanatical glee that has come over my face as I raise my hammer again and attempt to slam it into the tree.
Take his arm and assist him in the last act.
Yeah, so you put a hand on his arm, and he smacks it into the tree, and there is a like a thump of finality as this thing sinks in, and it kind of squishes in between this black ooze, and you pull your mace back, and the metal sound that it made when you struck the nail, the ringing sound, it almost faded away, almost, and you realize that like it's still kind of hanging in there. You hear, and then like it starts to actually get louder, and like it starts to really build up, and it seems like this nail is vibrating, like it's resonating. It's so loud that you have to step back and place your hands over your ears and like flee from the tree. As you do so, a mighty crack rings out and runs straight up the tree, and the tree is splintered into two. Like it is still there, but a crack runs straight up the center, and the nail disappears. And I think you feel, both of you, since you're attuned to magic, like kind of a spirit of magic just kind of wash past you and dissipate.
Is it done?
I was totally about to defy danger to give it another whack. I'm glad I ran away though. It sounds like that could have been pretty bad.
Yeah, it's this strikes you as very very final. If you know anything about this barb and what it's supposed to do, this thing is no more. And kind of like with that last gust of magic, there's a gust of wind that blows out kind of the remaining fires almost entirely. Like there's still the occasional glow. Can you please both roll 1d6?
Rolling 1d6.
All right, you take that much damage from the heat. It is not affected by conventional armor, but Telemon, it is affected by magical armor. So I assume you take 4 damage. It's basically just from your enduring the heat of this place as you back out. I assume you head back towards the tunnel.
As soon as the tree's destroyed, head back towards my minion and Sylviana.
Yeah, you head back there and you see your minion has taken up Sylviana's bow and is standing guard over her corpse. It is put her arms or is folded her hands over her chest and straightened her body, and she looks rather peaceful.
Cost was too high.
So
I'm going to probably fall and continue petitioning my deity along the lines I was before, that of her value.
Yeah.
I wish to search about for the shreds of magic. If the tree is gone, perhaps the magic's there now.
So are you detecting magic again? Did you forget that one, or did you take it -1?
It seems like you forgot that one.
I don't have it anymore.
Happened.
You don't feel any magic. It seems like that last gust of magic, with that wind, like it seems like all life and magic kind of flowed out from the center. If there's something there, it must be so weak that your senses cannot detect it. Would we like to take a small break while we figure out what we're going to do with the remainder of the session?
Sounds good to me.
All right. If you can, please stop the recording.